Hey, I'm Jesse. Let's have a devotion. The Christian worldview is the only complete worldview. It's the perfect epistemology because its source is perfect. Its logos is logic himself, rationality himself. Jesus, see the opening of the Gospel of John. He is primordial logic personified, and he is the only omniscient. And so his word is the basis for our revelational epistemology. This is not circular. It's quite linear, straight from God to us. And so I do not have absolute perfect knowledge, but I know the one who does. And the only way that could be refuted is by someone else who has absolutely all the knowledge in the universe. I can't make that claim, but God has made that claim, and he's given us his word. And so he has revealed our belief system, revelational epistemology. We've arrived at this really vital, transformative, critical, glorious portion of the book of Exodus, wherein God is about to give the law to mankind. And so the lightning, the thunder, the smoke, the death penalty for anybody who encroached inappropriately, all of that is quite right, because this is serious business. When depraved, sinful, imperfect people encounter the holy, it's for our own protection that these boundaries are there, because God is omnipotent and he is holy and he is perfect, and we are craven, we are depraved, we are sinful. And so none of us can see God and live. This is a warning that's given. I believe that's in Exodus chapter 34. Here is Exodus chapter 19, and this is where we're preparing to receive the law of God from Mount Sinai. In the third month from the very day the Israelites left the land of Egypt, they came to the Sinai wilderness. They traveled from Rephidim, came to the Sinai wilderness, and camped in the wilderness. Israel camped there in front of the mountain. Moses went up the mountain of God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain. This is what you must say to the house of Jacob and explain to the Israelites. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, if you will carefully listen to me and keep my covenant, you will be my own possession out of all the peoples, although the whole earth is mine. And you will be my kingdom of priests, my holy nation. These are the words that you are to say to the Israelites. It's a beautiful promise. Eagles have this way of dropping their young in the sky, and then if they start to fail, coming up under them on their own on their own wings. All right, how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. You'll see that this is the old covenant, and so these are conditional promises, and Israel's going to fail. Israel fails a lot. Israel seems to fail most of the time. Israel's currently failing to believe in Yeshua as Messiah. They've denied the Son of God. But God's not done with Israel. There are beautiful prophecies of coming revival among the tribes of Israel. Look at this exquisite blessing they're given. You will be my kingdom of priests. All right, so they're going to do ministry as a kingdom. And my holy nation. They're going to be the ones who bear of course, the patriarchs and the prophets and the promises. They carry forth the covenant of God. These are the words that you're to say to the Israelites. Now here's verse 7. After Moses came back, he summoned the elders of the people and set before them all these words the Lord had commanded him. Then all the people responded together, "We will do all that the Lord has spoken." So Moses brought the people's words back to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "I'm going to come to you in a dense cloud so that the people will hear when I speak with you and will always believe you." Moses reported the people's words to the Lord. And the Lord told Moses, go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. They must wash their clothes and be prepared by the third day. For on the third day, the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people, put boundaries for the people all around the mountain, and say, be careful that you don't go up on the mountain or touch its base. Anyone who touches the mountain must be put to death. No hand may touch him. Instead, he will be stoned or shot with arrows and not live, whether animal or human. When the ram's horn sounds a long blast, they may go up the mountain. So God's going to come speak to man. This is godly condescension. This is the time of the revelational epistemology. He has given a set of conditional promises to his people. If they abide by his commands and they keep his statutes, then they're going to be blessed. And if they don't keep those statutes, then they won't be blessed. And so he lays before them, blessings or curses, blessings or death. And he's about to reveal to them the specifics of his commands. And so this is happening later in the Bible than certain events that would have violated some of these commands. And that's an example of progressive revelation. You can't hold anybody who appears in the biblical narrative chronologically before Exodus 20 responsible for sin if they go against something that God hadn't given a command against it yet. So these stipulations that will follow the Ten Commandments, if you see people in the book of Genesis, for example, violating those, they weren't violating them because they weren't issued yet by God. That's progressive revelation. Through the progress of time, God reveals his will, and he does so through a story. And we're in that story now. In the Old Covenant, God lays the foundation for atonement. He gives us the law. And now, today, see Romans chapter 3, verse 20, by this same law of God, you and I become conscious of sin. So it's not that God has abolished the law, but like Jesus says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 20, he has fulfilled the law. If we were to just do away with the Old Covenant law wholesale, that would be an ancient heresy known as antinomianism. And I could say firsthand that there's not a single resource put out there by JCM, not a single tenet or teaching of the Redemption Church that would espouse antinomianism. Not one stroke of the pen from any letter of the law will disappear. God meant all of it. The entire Old Testament serves as the foundation upon which the New Covenant is built. And we do believe that these are different covenants. In fact, the author of Hebrews, whom I believe could be Apollos, refers to this new covenant as one that is better by far. But this is God's revelation of right and wrong. This is the ultimate epistemology because it's literally the one God gives us. So, wow, that's the reason for the fanfare. There's never been a better reason for fanfare. Okay, I'm sorry, like a Bruno Mars concert, a Taylor Swift concert is not a fraction the reason for fanfare, as is, God coming to the mountain to reveal what's right and what's wrong. This is the reason for the Ten Commandment monuments outside of U.S. courthouses. Not that we're a theocracy, but that's where laws ultimately come from. They appeal to an ultimate authority, and all authorities must share a singular apex, and that's God. All hierarchies must ultimately end somewhere, and that is God. All laws must ultimately come from somewhere, and that is God. That is this portion of text. This is Exodus chapter 20. God is getting the people ready, and if any human or any animal approaches the mountain in a manner that is unworthy or inappropriate, they'll be put to death. And if anybody touches that person who touches the base of the mountain, they're to be shot, they're to be stoned, they're to be put to death. God takes this very seriously, and it's because we're depraved, he's holy. He's about to make a way for us to be redeemed with him, temporarily in the old covenant, and now ultimately because of the new covenant. We'll talk more about this in our sermons as we go, as you'll see more and more references to the book of Hebrews that explains further how this is old covenant law and we're under the new covenant, but all of this is deliberate. This is an epic moment. All right. This is God coming down. He does not have to. It's out of love. It's out of grace that he's making a way for us to be redeemed. Take a moment to just revere the perfection of the worldview that God has given. Express gratitude to him for that.